October 25th, 1986 is the biggest day of playwright Nicky Rogan's life.
I have never worked on a show where the leading man has a parasite in his brain.
This is all your history. That parasite is eating it.
Not because a critic wants to destroy his play.
He'll write a review so devastating it will shatter your career.
Not because his marriage is ending.
How could you do that?
Well, I'm a man. She's, a woman.
She's my gynecologist. I've been talking to a prominent divorce lawyer.
How prominent?
He has his own submarine.
But because tonight, his beloved Boston Red Sox are one game away.
This could be it.
From winning the World Series.
If you know anything about the team's history, it's a tragedy in the making. I've been carrying this franchise on my back since I'm 6 years old.
I never understood your thing with the Red Sox.
They're getting ready to kill my play. It's about us, who we are.
The truth is never gentle.
Yeah, you can analyze the Red Sox game day and night for a month and still uncover complex layers of feelings. Feelings you didn't even know you were capable of having. That kind of pain has a memory all of its own.
And a drive to left, going back on it is Mookie Wilson, and this one is... Yes!
The Red Sox are winning.
Red Sox are always winning. Till I lose.
Each of us lives in the thinnest possible wrapping of dreams. And truth is the force that penetrates this wispy skin.
You want to make the night come down. It's too hard for you to believe in something.
I want to believe.
If you believed, you wouldn't be walking around with a handgun in your belt.
There are things that speak to us from the past. Your truth is locked up in the past.
Losing is easy.
Winning is easy. Losing is complicated. This is deeply and intensely personal. All the mistakes I've made, all the fear, encased in this little envelope we call the body.
Lost games, lost dreams. There's the thing that always happens because it has to.
Game 6.
I could have been happy. Could have been a Yankees fan.
Nice to meet you, by the way, Michael.
Nice to meet you, too.
Very nice. I was looking forward to talking to you. Big fan of your films.
Thank you.
Impressive filmography, I have to say. And I've been a fan of DeLillo's. When I was reading them from, what was the one, since White Noise?
White Noise was, I think White Noise is the one that really kind of defines who. It also was like the first time he really finds this
voice,
very particular dystopian perceptive, kind of this creepy, you feel the apocalypse right at the edge of the page, it's and Underworld as well. Underworld, I think, is a very special book, and actually has lots of overlap with this screenplay.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for, my copy of the Underworld, but I think it must be, I have a storage room. I think I have a couple of boxes of books. I just ran out of space in this walk-in closet. I
understand that. Yeah.
I'm in Hudson Valley.
Where?
Yeah. Right near the Bard College area. I'm Tivoli.
Oh, yeah.
Where are you?
So not very far. I'm in London. I'm I'm very near the Arsenal Stadium in Highbury in London. Yeah.
Oh, I see. So this really was a little bit more of a complicated scheduling than I thought.
Yeah, well, I think it's a pleasure. It's a perfectly good time. It's just keeping me from, you're saving me from, I'm actually having my first glass of wine a half an hour later than usual. So that's...
Well, feel free.
I'll be right back. Looks like, there's Griffin. No,
there's Griffin Dunne.
Feel free to
There I am.
For fuck's sake, Griffin. No, turn your video on.
I'm trying.
Christ almighty.
I think I would know this shit by now.
No, see. Oh, look at that.
Look.
Hello.
Where are you, Michael?
I'm in London.
Of course you are.
Yeah, I've just come back from Italy, a month in Italy, which is very nice.
And I just got a thing from a hotel I stay at that you can now don't have to be quarantined.
You don't have to be quarantined. No, you don't. You can get on a plane. You can come straight over here. You can go straight to that hotel and start drinking.
It's just better and better.
I know. Hey, How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Are you married again?
A couple times since I've seen you.
Right. Yeah. Good. Awesome.
Yeah. I'm switching up the genders now.
I think that's good. I think it's very forward thinking. Have you seen? Are you still with that lovely woman?
No, not really. No.
Okay.
This is being broadcast around the world.
Right.
Okay. Sorry. Sorry. I just.
So, how much did you pull from? Well, just one little. We were already started on the subject of Don DeLillo, but Griffin, I happened to see Within 2.
Oh,
the sequel, and I saw your segment.
Yeah.
And I was wondering how much maybe you drew from real life from there. You know.
Well, the thing that the woman who Zonia, who Michael has certainly met, and I were quarantining together.
Oh, you really?
When we got a call from the producers, would you like to make a short film in your quarantine? And we'll send a camera and sound package. And then it would go on to another filmmaker and another one. And I just happened to have a production designer who lived above me who did it. And then, because it actually had some production value to it as well. But it was inspired in real life, because in March, when people, the COVID was just starting to scare people, I had left New York for my aunt's 90th birthday in Nogales, Arizona, and my girlfriend was going to come with me, but then got so worried and then became infuriated that I went and did not regard my own health, take my own, or even hers if I should come back. And it turned into this huge argument, which sort of inspired the—
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, which sort of, and it's about, this couple has spent one night together, and then he leaves, the pandemic hits, he goes to the airport, his flight's canceled, and then he comes back to her apartment and she freaks out and locks him in the bathroom.
Does this have you finished this?
Yeah. I'll send you a link.
Oh, send me a link. Also, I did a little film too, a COVID.
Good.
We can trade short films. Exactly. Hopefully
short-lived.
Not long-lived.
Hopefully short-lived. Exactly.
Yeah.
But it brings out a couple. Well, first of all, it actually works quite well. Because as you pointed out, this film took place. The short that we're talking about took place during the early days, where we really lacked a lot of information about it, and there was a strong incentive on the government to frighten us into staying inside because the fear of hospitals getting overwhelmed, as they are once again. And so it really works as because there's that edginess, and it's very DeLillo adjacent. Is that
I was just about to say, you would have thought DeLillo invented the COVID.
Yeah, but DeLillo, it is creepy how DeLillo's stuff just becomes, the worse the world gets, the more wounded the world gets, the truer his material is. It's very unsettling. But can I ask you? I mean, can I just ask Griffin a question, because it's in keeping with some of the, Mike, when you were developing the script, I mean, what was the starting point? Because I mean, some of this stuff he then borrowed and used in Underworld. But what was the starting point when you and Amy started working with him? Because that predates my
I can
involvement.
Exactly. I went to a bachelor. I went to a bachelor party for a friend of mine, Hamilton Fish, who was to run the information.
Sure.
And it was a bunch of us fellas in a restaurant, and Jules Pfeiffer was in attendance, and he had just received a devastating review from Frank Rich, and he was really, really pissed, and he mused on the idea of, I wish I could kidnap him and torture him, and went into all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And I then went to Amy as I went to this bachelor party, and I said, this is kind of a funny idea.
Yeah.
And literally, if not that day, the next day, our fax machine purred to life, in those days of fax machines, with a proposal from Don DeLillo's agent to us of the very same premise. Isn't that incredible? And then
how do I not know this story?
Oh, I didn't realize you didn't. And so we went, of course we were huge fans of Don DeLillo.
Yeah.
And had Amy had met him through Ann Beattie, who wrote the book that we based our first movie on, Chilly Scenes of Winter.
Yeah.
So there began the development, and we set it up at Universal back in the days when you could set up things on a pitch. And there it was developed.
Yeah, that's like when I first got attached to it, was in that early manifestation as a director in a movie that Universal was never going to make, right?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
What year roughly are you talking about, Griffin? When that fax machine?
I think that would have been like 91,
96.
Well, we made it some years later, but it would have been. I'm terrible
because he had written the screen. He read didn't he write a treatment for a screenplay? There was a gap of time there, right?
Yeah, between the time we got the proposal and the time we got the script.
Or just since he had written, maybe he wrote the novel, right? Or was it?
It wasn't based on a novel.
No, it's not based on
an original
novel. In
screenplay.
fact, he uses a little bit of the material in Underworld later on. Or similar
it's
material,
original,
parallel.
Yeah, the cab hopping and all. I know is
exactly.
Completely original. What's really striking to me, and this is something you couldn't have known when you got into it, because we've all gotten, seduced by a famous writer, and then you work on a screenplay with them, and you go, "Oh my God, this is just a different genre than they're used to. They don't know how to write dialogue." But right from the beginning, he understood this very kind of lean kind of storytelling that cinema demands, right? I assume, because
without a doubt. I mean, it was just so visual right from the very beginning. It had a visual pulse of traveling across Midtown, and the sense of dread that followed with every new cab and every
encounter.
Advancement.
Yeah.
Highly cinematic.
Where's DeLillo from? I mean, he's not from New York City, is he?
Is he from the Bronx, isn't he?
He's from the Bronx.
Oh,
he's from the Bronx. Italian. Parents were Italian immigrants.
So he's tried to cross. So he's probably been in a taxi crossing.
Sure he has. Yes.
Make yourself
he's a big theater goer.
I love it.
Can I get you a drink, Griffin?
No, the light is much better, by the way.
Don't you think? Yeah, absolutely. Hold on, I'm just getting comfortable. I decided to put a shirt on for this interview.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
and it's a first, and we've done them only in person in the past, so it was very uncomfortable in the past because. So your aunt is quite lovely, Griffin. Anyway. So I've been a big fan since White Noise. I was telling Michael. So this email came into my came over my fax the other day.
Yeah,
I was like really excited because I think I saw it, but I was able to kind of watch it maybe it felt like a first time here when I watched it again.
Oh, good.
I was just so impressed with it. I think it's a great film.
Great.
That's what I mean to say.
I think it's somehow better. We had a screening of it. What was it at what's that cinema called? The Metrograph.
Metrograph.
So not that long ago. Like, and Don came again, and with his wife, who's really lovely as well. And she was like, and they both felt like they were watching a different movie. They said afterwards, it felt like it had somehow grown into itself and become more relevant and more resonant than it was when we made it, which I watched it not that long ago, and I felt sort of the same. Like, I guess the world is just getting more toxic and more, and dread is a more common experience. So maybe we were onto something with the dread.
It also just it's so perfectly. It's a really great example of great casting.
Yeah, it is good. Yeah, it is well cast. Especially the playwright.
Both playwright.
That would be both playwright. Well, I meant that I love Griffin's performance in it. I love Griffin's. That is like one of the grungiest characters. I mean, you can smell him. It's you can make a perfume.
Have you done something like that? Had you done something along those lines prior to that role, Griffin? Had you?
I kind of
Elliot Litvack.
Elliot
Litvack.
I had pursued neurotic behavior before, and not necessarily combined with hygiene, but I'd also known Michael as well. He and I did Johnny Dangerously together in 82. So it was really fun to work with him again. He's remained a very close friend.
Yeah.
So we just had got in the cab and had fun with Michael.
Yeah. He was great. I mean, it was the joke on the, because everyone was getting paid $100 a day. And we didn't have, we had the total budget of the movie was like $500,000. And the joke was Michael Keaton doesn't have a trailer. He has a stool. And he literally did have a little 3-legged stool that he just kind of perched himself on the corner of, say, 52nd Street and 10th Street and just talk to whoever would talk to him.
Well, you had in one movie, you had a past Batman and a future Iron Man.
Yeah, that was, and when we had Robert at a very, very specific time. I've made a couple of movies with him before, Self-Edition Restoration, and then he'd had a little time out away from the business, and he came back, and I think he was feeling actually pretty vulnerable and pretty raw. And it was, I think there's something of where he was in that moment, and I think it was very brave of him to come out and do the role. It's one of the first things he did after that darker period of his life. And he came back and absolutely, he was you feel that in the performance. You really feel the brokenness in the character and the way and the vulnerability in the character. It was very brave what he was able to, present. I think we were lucky that he came out and did that.
And you got Michael Keaton as a playwright first.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, this was obviously a good 10 years before
Birdman. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities between the movies.
There is something there. Mm-hmm. But you had it works they do work kind of well together now that you mention it. But anyway, so what took it what was the went into finally now releasing this again? Was it in a limbo or something? Was it available? I guess that's kind of a producer question.
I'm glad it is, because I don't know the answer.
I don't know the answer either, actually.
Okay.
I know that Amy Robinson and Leslie Ordang were approached by someone, a distributor, who is very passionate about the movie and didn't feel it got a fair shake the first time around. And it all went rather quickly. So the next call I got was they've already hired a publicist, and here we are.
That was quick. It's called Quiver Films. Quiver.
Yeah.
Which
well,
is
cool. I'm glad it's going to have, another life. It's really funny how these things, you never know. I've made this other little comedy when I was a kid called Restless Native, set up in Scotland. And, and at the time, et cetera, came out, and the Scots embraced it. The English were insulting about it. And now, though, it has this whole kind of like, big fan club, and it's McAvoy's favorite movie and Jerry Butler's favorite movie, and Jack Black wanted to remake it, and now someone who's approached me about doing a stage musical of it, and it's like it's being screened, it's just been re-released on DVD on Blu-ray. Who the fuck saw that coming?
What is it called?
It's called Restless Natives.
Restless Natives.
Yeah. It's a funny little movie.
Well, it's great. You have a bit of a revival of the more obscure films, dare I say that.
Exactly right. They are, and they are obscure.
People.
I'm going to track that down. I feel like watching that tonight.
You'll like it. It's funny. And I don't remember if you remember this group called Big Country, but they were sort of a Scottish band. They did the soundtrack. It's the only soundtrack they ever did. It was like really, Yeah, no, it's fun. You know what? Yeah, have a look.
Speaking of soundtracks,
yes,
you brought it up. This one has also a pretty
crazy
notable soundtrack by
I love it.
Yola Tango. That was pretty nifty as well.
Yeah, that was a crazy experience. I mean, I had gotten turned on to Yola Tango by a couple of actor friends of mine, and that was mentoring at Sundance. And I was talking to somebody, maybe Griffin, somebody standing there, to one of the other mentors, and I was like, and talking about doing this movie and saying, I was thinking about Yola Tango I might approach Yola Tango. I don't know how I'd ever get a hold of them, but they'd be interesting. And a voice behind me goes, "Oh, that's my sister." And I turned around, and one of the filmmakers at Sundance was a woman named Emily Hubley, who's the sister of Georgia Hubley, who's in the band. And so, she just handed me their phone number, and I went and called them and talked to Ira and James and Georgia, and boom, it was done. They'd never done it before, but they were like, "Yeah, well, okay."
They're natural for it too.
Yeah, they were natural. Yeah, they were natural. But it was very, very. It was just one of those things that when you realize that, her sister standing behind you, that it's always you always feel like it may be meant to be.
Sure.
And it was very, very exciting process working with them in their little kind of crazy ass house in Hoboken.
But it's interesting because you see the movie. Maybe I don't know if you put in like a what do they call them? The temp track. Temp track.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But, we knew we had Yola Tango, so we temped it with Yola Tango.
Oh, you used their music when you gave it.
We temped it, but then everything that's. I mean, then they recomposed everything.
Well, but I'm just thinking because you see, I would imagine you're creating. You have to look at a film with no soundtrack, and then you get a sense of the tension that you want or whatever, and then you create the score, and then you're actually people that are watched hopefully afterwards. It's a big part of what creates that experience for them. So in a movie like this, it seems like it's really an important component.
Well, what was really cool about working with them is, I mean, it's as Griffin would tell you as well, it's one of the banes of composers' lives is they're handed a script that a director's been watching the movie, a cut, where a director's been watching that cut with the temp music on it for like weeks and weeks and weeks, and is like totally invested in the temp score. So somehow the composer has to get the director to move his head out of it. What was great about them, because it was all their music, they were like, all this music is wrong. Even it was their music, it's all wrong. We'll show you what it should be. And that they did, but still what it was indicated, like you're talking about, the sort of narrative values in the music. They absorbed that and then just rewrote the music.
Yeah, I remember once hearing Scorsese once said he was interviewing a composer, and he watched. And the first conversation they had was the composer was talking in a completely different direction, and Marty said, "Well, that's what I use in the temp." And he goes, "Well, yeah, that's the temp track." And he goes, "No, actually, I did that temp track for a reason. I mean, it wasn't like I was just killing time putting up my. That's actually there's a reason that music is there." I'm not saying to do the exact thing, but so I mean, then Yola Tango could even find inspiration of where it should be from their own music, which is even more impressive.
The name of the film is called Game 6, and it refers to the 1986 World Series, which I vividly remember, mostly because at the time I was living in New York City. I remember specifically going to Hunter or something, coming down and just walking down Lexington, but I was dating a woman from Arlington. So it might have been what ended our relationship, from Arlington, Massachusetts. But
I remember it too. I was watching it with 3 English friends of mine in Salt Lake City, where we were going to I was making this film called Promised Land, and they thought baseball was the most exciting game that's ever played by any human being, because this is the only baseball game they'd ever seen. This is awesome. I want to watch another one of these.
Well, any memories of that series, Griffin?
I just remember how just the tension of it, and I don't know why my heart always, the amount of shit that poor Bill went through, Buckner went through, was just unforgivable.
He went, the error, the ball went through his legs. Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you a weird story. So here I'm, this is the first go round with the movie, right? When it was at Universal. And I was in the middle of building a house in Boise, Idaho, where I lived at the time. And I went into the tile store and had a meeting about the tile. And when I walked out, I picked up a set of house plans. I got back to my car and I go, "Oh, these are my house plans." And I look down and it's Bill and Jody Buckner's house plans. So I walked back in and there's Bill Buckner having moved to Boise, because it's a fucking long way from Boston, seriously. And so Bill Buckner became a friend of mine and quite a close friend. And then,
Wow.
Then 6 years later, I had to sort of sit down with him and go, "Okay, I really have this chance to make this movie. How are you going to feel about this?" So he read it, and actually they were incredibly gracious about the whole thing. But it was a very, it was like something that DeLillo would write. What's that?
That's something I didn't know.
Yeah, that was pretty weird.
That's amazing.
You'd have to make peace with that at some level. Otherwise, you're just going to drink yourself to death or something.
Yeah, but right? I mean, making peace with it's not so easy when things happen. So Bill actually ran a hitting school in Boise, for young baseball players, right? Bill Buckner baseball camp. And literally somebody from Boise who I knew had a Bill Buckner baseball camp t-shirt, is walking through LaGuardia, and someone came up to him and said, "That's the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen. Where can I buy one of those?" So
ouch. Yeah, that's not nice. What a great cast again. I'm going to just mention, because Michael Keaton, of course, Griffin, Robert Downey Jr.,
Catherine O'Hara. Oh my God.
And then,
she was fucking hilarious.
It's only a handful when I do these kind of show, when it comes to bring on actors, there's only a handful that I've coveted. And Griffin Dunne is in that group. I kid you not. And now that you're on for multiple times, I feel like, I could stop anything. But I totally love you.
It's very entertaining.
The only other, who else is in that small group is Harris Yulin. And I love Harris Yulin. I got him on my podcast some years ago, and I was just enjoying. And he was just so great. It was with a couple of other people in this film. And then I was just a couple of weeks later, I'm walking again, I'm on Lexington Avenue, I think, or somewhere on the Upper East Side. I'm walking and I come out of the subway and there's Harris Yulin just standing on the corner, looking around, looking a little lost, though he probably was not. But then I was like,
it's the parasite in his brain.
I just saw him in, I was rewatching some episode of Ozark. I mean,
what an actor! He's great. Yeah, he's a wonderful actor. He was in my movie The Emperor's Club as well. He's just such a good. I mean, he can do, and he's brilliant in that scene.
He is.
I mean, some of those moments where he's like this blankness. It's very not
horrifying.
Easy.
It's horrifying.
No, it's horrifying, absolutely, and hilarious.
But he's also he's a DeLillo type of character actor then, because
absolutely, you know what? Yeah. That's absolutely true. He fits in that world very well. And I have to say, every once in a while, their lines come back to me, like Catherine O'Hara when she says, "What she says, what's the word she says about an attorney? A something attorney, a prominent divorce attorney." And Michael says, "How prominent?" She says, "He has his own submarine," which I think is like a fucking genius line. He has his own submarine.
Well, I will find out how it's people can see it. It'll be obviously streaming on whatever platform. I'm sure it'll be on iTunes and various other streaming platforms. So I'll take care of that. But thank you both for making this happen with me.
Pleasure, Adam.
You bet. Yeah, it was fun.
Really, really thrilled.
Thank you. Very good. And I thank you for giving me an opportunity to see Griffin.
See you too, Michael.
Fills me with delight.
Oh, good. Well, I hope I see you soon, pal.
Yeah, I got to show you the movie. We made another movie together.
Oh, yes.
You still have? Yeah, I'll bring it with me next time.
What is that? Yeah. Why don't we have a little bit of a news breaking item here?
Well, it's a sort of sad thing because it's a movie that I absolutely love, and I would say, and I believe it's true, and what's great is no one can see it, so no one can disprove it, is the best movie I've ever made. But it's about Gore Vidal, but it's had the kind of it's been complicated because Kevin Spacey played Gore Vidal, so Netflix has had to sort of read about it. Yeah, it's that. So, but anyway, Griffin's in it, and we had a wonderful time making it in Italy, and I still am hoping that at some point in time we'll find a way to.
I think that day will come.
Get it seen. Yeah, I think so too.
Fingers
but
crossed.
In the meantime, I'll sneak it. We'll have a quiet screening in your basement with all of your wives.
All right.
Yeah, that'll triple the number of people who've seen the movie.
Absolutely. There we go. Box office.
All right,
guys.
All right.
Very good.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.